Shwmai pawb, shwdwch chi heddi? Doing dysgu Cymraeg, practicing my tiny little bit of Welsh. Such a joy to be here today to support the fantastic work that gofod is doing on a remarkable day for us, because today is the United Nations Day of the elimination of race discrimination. I have been dashing from conference to conference talking about race equality. So please forgive me if you've heard me talk today. I don't want to repeat myself because they're hopefully not too similar. It was wonderful to be invited to come here and speak a little bit about the journey that the third sector could go to promote race equality. And I thought the best way to do that was to give you a little snapshot of my own personal journey. And being a leader in the third sector, how my arrival in Wales was heralded. Was it warm? Was it welcoming? Well, I'll leave you to keep guessing. But it was a journey that started on the 7th of February in 1993 when I arrived at Heathrow, never having been out of Nigeria. I'm married to a mixed race man. His mother's white, English, Jewish. His father's black Nigerian, and he's a law lecturer. So he studied law, qualified also as I did, and got a job lecturing at the Swansea Law School, Swansea University. And I joined him as a freshly qualified solicitor barrister. I was called to the Nigerian bar, and I thought I could just come to the UK and with a good qualification, good degrees, walk into a job. Surprise, surprise, went to Swansea Job Centre in 1993, and I was told by an official there that I could not get a job in the legal profession because I'm black. That was my first encounter with thinking about my skin color and that being a barrier. It was a very big surprise to me because in Nigeria, my own personal, I came from a very academic background. My mother was a principal of a school and won a scholarship to study in California. And so my dad, the same, was a professor of crop science, and he taught us to be very, very diligent and very hardworking. And he just says, everything you do, put 5,000% into it. I remember, and I'll digress a little, just to give you a snapshot of my life in Nigeria. Growing up as one of 5 children, there is no income support, there is no government assistance. If you don't pay for your schooling, your kids don't get schooled. And I remember my dad saying, well, this is hard-earned money, and I sweated to get this money to pay your school fees. I turned up home one day having come, I think it was 34 out of 40 children. So I was bottom end of the class because you have positions of excellence. So you're counted from 1 till the end of the class, and I came 34th. And I came home with my school report. My dad said, what is this? I said, that's my report. Why are you number 34? I said, because that's what I achieved. Well, that's rubbish. The woman who has the child who came first, was there a person who came first? I said, yeah. Somebody came first, yeah. And you know who that is? Yeah. Who's that person? I said, do they have 3 heads? I said, no. 3 heads? Do they have 3 heads? I said, no. So why would you let somebody who has 1 head, same as you, beat you that far? Out and keep studying until you improve your scores. My father was driven. It was academic, study, and don't waste your money. So that is the kind of culture that we were raised, that you made everything count, and they drove this attitude of excellence into us. And coming to the UK, I kind of expected that with my degrees and how well I had done in school, that I would be able to apply, same as every other person, and get a job. So to hear in Job Centre that I couldn't get a job because I'm black, not because I've even been tested, was shocking in a professional government-run establishment. So they said to me, well, if you want to try, I can see your degree is very good, but I'm just telling you, Start from the first number 1 on Water Road right through to 100. You'll see loads of solicitors firms. 75 applications later, one person called me to an interview, and he tested. I'd applied for a job in criminal law. He tested me in jurisprudence, company law, criminal law, public law, administrative law, and I was fresh out of graduating, so I was really on fire. And at the end, he said, "You're an incredibly smart woman. You're very intelligent." I said, "So does that mean I get the job?" And my thought was like, wow, that job center woman had no clue what she was saying, because I'm just about to land my first job. And he said, "Sorry, no, I can't employ you because you have a very strong Nigerian accent, and I don't think you're going to fit in my establishment." I was shocked. I said, "Because of my accent?" He said, "Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't know that you would fit. But, give yourself a few more years." As things happened, later on, and I move on in my story, the daughter of this man ended up being taught by me. I ended up teaching her law in the Swansea Law School. But to go back to my story, I went back to the job center woman, and I said to her, "I really need help. I need to get a job. I don't want to go on the dole. I'm really hardworking, and can you help?" She said, "Well, here are some application forms to go to places like Tesco's, Argos, Sainsbury's. Don't tell anybody you're a barrister. Nobody cares, actually. Nobody wants to know. Just put your GCSEs down and don't speak posh. All this posh English that you say, just keep it simple and get into the shop floor and just start selling toys. That's my advice to you. Or they will say you're overqualified and you won't stay with them, so you'll never get a job." So my first job in the UK was selling toys in Toys R Us, and it was £2.40 an hour. And I used to work from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I got a night shift job because, newly married, we're just starting to make a home. We had not insufficient funds. So I needed to get another job, night shift, from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I worked in Walker's factory. How many of you love Walker's crisps? Let's see your hands. You need to find something else. It is horrible. I have seen the grime that goes into that stuff. So on the days they do cheese and onion crisps, oh my gosh, you can smell it from miles long. And that night shift started at 10 to 6 a.m. and I was paid £3.60 an hour. It didn't take long for people to realize that I said a couple of words that made me sound like I knew what I knew, because I challenged them on why it was just myself and a Zimbabwean lady in the factory that were getting the VAT cleaning duties. And that's how I know the gunge that goes on Walker's factory. Sorry, Walker's. But anyway, it was a greasy thing, and loads of the local people refused to do that job. And every single night for 1 month, my friend and I, she was from Zimbabwe, I was from Nigeria, we were given the VAT cleaning duty. And after a month, I thought, we're meant to rotate jobs. That's what my contract said. I went to them and I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to do this. Why are you not giving it to Mrs. A or Mrs. B? Why do I have to do it?" And my friend said to me, "Don't mention my name because you're going to get a sack. They'll say you're causing trouble. I don't want to be included in your complaint because I need the money." So I went and they said, "You look like you're a troublemaker." I said, "No, I'm just asking, why have you just assigned Izzy and I every single night to do this job? Why can't others have a go? I want to sit down and card some crisps because at least you can sit down and you're not on your feet." And they said, "Well, you seem to be a very difficult woman. Well, if you're not going to do your work, get out. You get out from this place." I said, "Well, I will probably go to the Citizens Advice Bureau and tell them exactly how I've been treated." And his jaw dropped. He was so shocked. He said, "Listen, we don't want any troublemakers. If you sit down here, I might look at the rota and see what I can do." And that was how I got away from VAT cleaning duties. And my friend said to me, "Uzo, why didn't you include my name? I need to be rescued." And I said, "Because you said keep your name out." So in that factory, the women started bringing their contracts so I could look at it, and somebody would be cleaning my vat or packing the crisps, and I'll be telling them, you should negotiate this contract. And I caused the mini revolution, but there we go. So that became a real foundation for me. And did my life get better? No. I went through all sorts of racist incidents. My house got smashed into 3 times, 3 different homes, by people saying, go back to your country, you black something something. And they said, oh, we hear Africans live in the jungle and you live on trees, so this must be a massive improvement. It was constant, it was relentless. And the bid to break out from doing any other kind of job to get into the legal profession was impossible. And it was the dean of the faculty that came to my house one day, because I love cooking, and I'd made food for an African-American lecturer that came to visit their school. He'd asked me to cook because they know I cook, and this woman had never eaten any Nigerian food or African food, and she's African-American, so he asked me. And when she came to the house, I made the food, and he said to me, by the way, Miss Iwobi, I hear you're a barrister, where are you working? I said, Walker's Factory and Toys R Us. And he burst out laughing. And he said, are you serious? I said, of course, because I can't get a job in the legal profession. He was absolutely shocked. He said, I can't. Who told you that? I said, well, I experienced it, and I told him my story. He said, well, I cannot believe that happened. We have a part-time job going, but you have to face an interview and whatever. So I went for an interview, and I got my first job teaching law at the Swansea Law School, company law, which I hated, but I promised him I loved. And I read up on company law like my life was going to depend on it. And I started my first job. That was 1 hour. Every hour we were paid £27 an hour. What a change from my life. But you know what I learned? Every single one of those women that I met in the factory have been lifelong friends. And I've determined, using every one of the experiences, and I can't go into it because we have such a long time ahead of us, and I don't want to use up my time to tell you my personal story because I have many other things to tell you. I wanted to say that those people have become lifelong friends because they taught me the foundations of kindness and friendship and authentic being a Welsh woman. What does that mean? I went to my first hen party because of those ladies, and it was shocking. I was shocked, people. I didn't know Welsh women could drink like that. I ended up helping them into their homes because they didn't know their homes in the end. And we came down from the bus, many fell out. It was I was raised in a Christian home where I was never even allowed to go clubbing. So you can imagine the shock I had. But it was a massive welcome to Wales, and I embraced it wholeheartedly. What am I going to say to you? At every job that I did, from moving to the police full-time to work as a law training on legislation, race, ethnicity, diversity, I got interviewed to represent the Association of Chief Police Officers on a tripartite partnership with Her Majesty's Inspectorate and the Home Office. And it was to represent 43 police forces. People didn't think I could. My husband said, you can. I said, I can. I applied and I got it. And I headed off to the Home Office. And 1 minute, I was like, I brought my hairnet with me because in workers, you have to wear a hairnet because you've got to put your feet on the ground. But do you know what happened? I started in the process of all the challenges. I established the first third sector body that I really sold my heart to, and that was the African Community Centre in Wales. It's still going in Swansea. We started with 4 people who answered my newspaper advert, and today we're 537 members mixed with local white Welsh people, and we're employing about 5 people from diverse ethnic backgrounds. In fact, I think we have just 1 African and many people from England, Wales, America, whatever. So it's all about, what do you do with the challenges that you're facing? As third sector bodies, many of the people that are going to come into your workforce will have stories to tell, just like mine. And I do think that the third sector have a significant amount of work to do to show kindness. I mean, if we listen to what was said a bit earlier about the need for us to move not just into policy, governance, accountability, but to a certain level of kindness that perhaps in the public sector they wouldn't have time really to think about. It's so important because everybody is on a journey that we don't know. I think it was Martin Luther King that said that a man has never truly lived, or a woman has never truly lived, until they break out of the finer constraints of their individuality. They have to break out to embrace the broader concerns of humanity. And I do think that is what third sector organizations seek to do. Through my own personal journey, through the Home Office, doing all that work, working with 43 police forces, becoming a commissioner to the Commission for Racial Equality, and coming back to work for Race Council Cymru, which is a third sector body, and dealing with all the funding difficulties and the challenges. I've asked myself, what has kept me going? And that is what I want to share with my fellow third sector leaders today and workers. It is an innate desire to make a difference in my sector, to celebrate one Wales, because truly we are one Wales, and together we make a difference. If we give up, there is no hope. I was looking at the statements introduced by the United Nations Rapporteur on Racism. Her name is Tendai Achiume. She's the 5th Special Rapporteur on contemporary forms of racism and race discrimination and related intolerance. And she asked us to actually look within ourselves and our organizations and our society to uproot all forms of hatred and discrimination, because it's destructive, it is corrosive, and that is what I found with racism. And when I became a trustee to the British Red Cross, the chief executive, the then chief executive, Sir Nicholas Young, he said to me, Uzo, I bet having become a commissioner and all this, you don't get in touch with people who say things to you these days. It must have happened all those years ago. And I said, Nick, it is every single day. I'm as aware of who I am and my skin color and my difference every time I walk into a room. I'll give you an example of what's happened this week. You know the New Zealand incident that happened, where 50 people lost their lives to a terrible act of hatred. I went for the first time to join the Stand Up to Racism trip that came to Cardiff. And we came to Cardiff to join in solidarity with people holding hands as brothers and sisters, white and black, to say enough to hatred. I have never been on a march before. It was my first march ever. I wasn't sure quite what to expect. I thought people would be extreme. I thought there'd be much more ethnic minority people, but it was actually on the bus. It was about 80% local white people who had a conscience and didn't want extreme views. It was wonderful. They made me feel so welcome. And I went and I spoke and I came back and I put up on my personal Facebook page, I said, what a joy to stand with my brothers and sisters from all over Wales to hashtag stand up to racism. Here's to our beautiful hashtag One Wales. That was a positive message. And I put some pictures of me holding up a placard. And guess what happened? A friend of mine on Facebook said, I must say, and put this on a public comment, as a white Welsh woman, if I were to go to Nigeria, Pakistan, or any other country and carry banners and host conferences complaining about my hosts in their own country, I would expect to be deported instantly. Uzo Iwobi, and named a Pakistani lady who was in the picture with me. Every life matters, and it's protests like this that keep us separate and make men like the ones in New Zealand shoot people. Stop all this protesting and start loving your life. For goodness sake, get off your campaigning. That was on Saturday. This is life. This is life. And every single day, colleagues who work with you in organizations who come from diverse ethnic backgrounds may be facing far worse. They might have had their homes smashed in. And we need to activate a bit of kindness. And I do believe that nobody is better placed to root out acts, pockets of wickedness and acts of hatred than the third sector. Why? Because we're compassionate organizations. Because we're set up by people who don't want to benefit personally. They want to do what is for the collective group good. So what did I do? I listened and I looked and I thought, how should I respond to such a shocking statement from a person I thought was my friend? First thing, I deleted the post and I contacted the police because I thought I cannot even get into a conversation, because the lady that she commented on from Pakistan did a private chat, and this lady that I took on many trips, bought food for, did things for which you can't narrate. We went to House of Parliament together. This lady tried to talk to her and say, why would you put such a hateful comment at such a time? And she said, well, I can't stand you from Pakistan, and I can't stand, Uzo is an obnoxious Nigerian woman. And I thought, there we go. I am a naturalized Welsh Nigerian woman, and I'm proud to be part of Wales. And the hatred of a few pockets of individuals will not deter me. And I said to her, I think, shut down the private conversation, because she took a lot of abuse, and we've reported it as a police incident. So, am I shocked? No. I'm not shocked, because this is what many people experience on our streets. Is everybody in Wales racist? No, absolutely not. There is such a lot of good, and the hearts of the people from all diverse backgrounds are to do good, and I think we can achieve this. I do want to leave you with a thought. Before I finish, there's an African proverb that says that if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, we must go together. And I do believe that third sectors in Wales have a real role to show kindness and activate kindness, like we heard before, and be compassionate in being with people who are from diverse backgrounds, because everyone is on a journey that we don't even know. But let me tell you, brothers and sisters, that we will make it, because we're united, and united we will stand. Thank you. Diolch yn fawr.